Hey, I'm Cyclon, and today I wanted to talk a bit about how you can take your league start and push it to the next level. Now, I'm going to split this in three sections: before the actual launch, then on the launch itself, and then a bit after the launch. So, before the launch is starting now, starting right after you watch the video. You could start with those things already. And I want to first go for it, go for you need to decide when playing a build, of course. And I would not say take any build and you hear, oh, this build is going to be amazing. Take a build you know yourself, this can work. You've seen enough video proof this works. And then try it out yourself and see how you feel with it. You need to enjoy the build you're playing. It's not enough that it's super awesome. Maybe there is this build. It's a mining playstyle, the mine spawns traps and it deals 5 million damage per trap. Maybe super awesome, but it is so niche. You need a very niche playstyle. You are absolute glass cannon, and maybe you're not even enjoying traps and mines. So the build wouldn't be for you. Or maybe you don't enjoy totems, or you don't enjoy self-cast, or you don't enjoy melee. Choose a build which you can enjoy and you know works. It's of course sometimes the new build, there is a new skill jump, it's an absolute hit, and it's doing super good and it's taking over the meta. But if you don't know that beforehand, you can assume it and you could take the risk, but then again, it is a risk. So I would say to go safe, take something you know works or you have tested before and you are happy with playing. Then again, you're also not just the build itself you need to be happy with playing, but also the playstyle. And here I will differentiate again between bossing and mapping. You want to play a playstyle you enjoy more. If you like to go and defeat hard bosses, then maybe look into bossing a bit more. Don't take a build that has almost no single target but the heaviest clear and try to do bossing. Instead, if you enjoy mapping, if you enjoy running super fast through maps, clearing screens and screens or beyond, then choose a mapper you enjoy and go for the mapping strategy. Both have their pros and cons, especially in this league, where a lot of people are going bossing, but mapping has a lot new potential with the Atlas Ascendancies. Back in Echoes of the Atlas, there were a few strategies that had to be nerfed into the ground because it was so profitable, so easily, and if you were one of the first who jumped on top of it, you were able to make so much currency. So then again, that is in two birds. You have to choose what you would like to do, like how would you like to play the game, and with what build you want to play the game. But there is a kind of a different approach. There's also choosing your finish line. So you can choose your starting point, like I just mentioned. You want to play this build and then think, how can I play this build? Is it a mapper? Is it a bosser? How do I want to play this? What do I want to do? Or you could say, okay, I want to defeat the new bosses. So I will need a bosser. What bosser can I take? How can I do this? And then go for there. Okay, this bosser, this, maybe skeleton minions, burning arrow, explosive arrow ballista, and seismic traps are the builds that are good enough for bossing. Then choose which of those you would like. If you don't like any of those, maybe readjust your finish line. It is quite hard to say, okay, I want this goal, I want to kill bosses, but I want to play I want to play Arc Self-Cast. It can work out eventually, but you don't know how long and how hard the way to until it works out will be. Or maybe you do know, then ignore the statement. But if you don't know that, or you don't know exactly it, maybe you just know it partially, it could be surprisingly, it could take longer, it could be harder, you need more investment. So again, I would say stick to something you know works, something you've tested yourself and seen other test, and you say, okay, this is good enough, this works for my goal, or this is what I want to do, and then stick to that. Don't just, because 1 week before launch somebody says this is the best build ever, then change for that. Afterwards, now you have chosen your build, you have chosen your playstyle. Make yourself your own goals. Those can be something simple or something harder, and I want you to make them just a tiny bit out of your range. So if every league you've consistently reached red maps, then maybe your next goal would be, okay, this league I want to kill Maven, and I want to kill her in the first week. Or maybe you never reached red map, so then your goal would be, hey, I want to reach red map this league. Or you are able to make an Exalt pretty consistently, maybe one Exalt a week by just playing and selling items. Maybe your goal now is, I'm going to find a strategy, I'm going to run that strategy until I farm 10 Exalts with the strategy. There are a lot of different goals for different players. I mean, it could even be something as simple, I've always only reached 12 challenges. This league I want to reach 24 or 26 or maybe even 40. But always pick something that is a bit out of your range. And once you achieve that, choose the next one. So you can always push your only a tiny bit out of your comfort zone. And if you realize, okay, I've chosen that goal, but it's actually something I don't enjoy, don't want to, then you can drop it without having to move, having had to move too much in that direction. You can go back to your comfort zone and choose a new goal, which doesn't need to push you too far out of it. Now those are more mentally things, but there are also some physical preparation you can do. You can make, once you've chosen your build, a trade filter, especially for your build, that has items listed that you need. You save them in a text document, or you're using Better Trade and made a filter section. So you can click on it, can instantly see, hey, these items are on sale. I can quickly whisper them. You have live searches prepared, maybe even. So you have an easier time to get your items that you need for your build to work out. The ones who have live searches are the ones who can message first before the ones who manually search every few maybe minutes, hours or whatnot. You always need to try to stay an edge ahead of others if you can, or maybe at the same edge at least. After you have your trade filters, you could also make a leveling filter. Of course, there are some leveling out there like Tai Killers leveling filters, or other streamers actually don't know who also have one, or you could make one yourself. Think of, okay, what items do I want highlighted? What links are important for my build? Maybe I'm never going to use any red circuits, so I can hide 4 links that are on strength based, because those will roll red most likely. You can adjust your filters perfectly for your build, so you can highlight everything that is important to pick up and sell maybe, and that is important to pick up and use. And after you have your leveling filter, you can finally start to practice leveling. I would really recommend, once you've chosen your build that you want to stick to, play with it through the acts a bit. Now, of course, many people don't like acts, and it's a tedious process, and you take 10 hours to get through, or maybe you take 7 hours to get through. But if you practice it a bit, you can decrease the time you need to get through the acts. And maybe after a bit of practice, instead of 10, it only takes you 8 hours. Or instead of 8, it takes you 7. Or instead of 7, it only takes you 6 hours. 6 hours is a lot less than 10 hours in terms of hours. So you have less time you spend in the campaign and more time you can spend in maps which you enjoy. Now, you don't need to practice all acts every day. Instead, you could say, okay, today I'm going to only test Act 1. It's going to be like 20-30 minutes once you get accustomed to it. Or I'm going to test Act 1 to Act 3, which maybe takes 1 hour to 2 hours. You don't have to test the full range, because most of the important stuff happens from Act 1 to Act 6. And afterwards, it's really just killing stuff by moving forward and staying on level, over level, or exactly at the leveling sweet spot. It isn't really that hard to just take a bit of time and practice the acts. Once you know some generic patterns in layouts, or you know a few skips, you can increase a lot of time just with tiny stuff. And who knows, maybe you start to enjoy leveling a bit more even. Enjoy leveling a bit more too. Now, there is one last thing, and this one is constantly. Do not compare yourself to others. You run at your own speed. If there's maybe in your guild, there's this one guy who always rushes through the acts, then rushes through the map, and he always has mirrors and mirrors sitting around, and he links the most crazy items he just crafted. That is his playstyle. Sure, you maybe want to reach that, but don't compare yourself to that. He has a lot more information and most likely time spent on the game than you do. Maybe. I don't know about the time spent. Sometimes there's a difference there. But then it's knowledge. There's always something that the others, when they are ahead of you, they have an edge they have something that you do not have. Understand what they have that you do not, and then maybe adjust it so you, or learn it so you have it too, and then can get on the same stage they are running on. But don't compare yourself to them, because for most people that is unhealthy. You create an unhealthy mindset for yourself where you see, oh, those streamers are already killing Cyrus again. I'm not even done with the acts, or they are already in red maps. This Empyreans group already has their first mirror. They are playing a lot more, and they are playing a lot more efficient. They know a lot about the game. So don't compare yourself to them, but rather aspire to be like them, if you want to do that, of course. Instead of comparing, just aspire, learn from them, take their knowledge, take the hardships they had to make your hardship easier. And again, this counts not just for before the launch, but also while the launch and afterwards. Just keep in mind that you run your own speed, you play the way you like and enjoy the game. Now, when the launch is, there's again a bit of stuff that you can do outside of the computer. You can maybe take a rest before the launch if the launch is very late into the night for you. Sleep a bit for a few hours, take a power nap, or maybe go walk outside if you have a dog, or just alone, or with your friends, with your significant other, with your family. Just take a bit outside away from the computer, because on launch you're most likely going to spend a lot of time on the computer. Then maybe prepare some healthy snacks, get some water, drinks. I would really just stick to healthy stuff in this case, because again, you're going to spend a lot of time in front of the computer, and healthy stuff will just make it a bit more healthy, even if you're just sitting around. Every bit of healthiness counts. And again, like I already mentioned a bit earlier, play on your own speed. Don't push yourself too far beyond your limits. A bit of pushing is healthy. If you say, okay, normally I take 30 minutes for Act 1. In this league launch, I want to go for 25. Maybe you can do it. Maybe you don't. Don't take it too harsh on yourself, and maybe just go for 28. Just push yourself a tiny bit always. Not pushing yourself, okay, I know this is done in 20 minutes. I always take 30 minutes, but I'm going to do 20 now. Oh, and if you don't get it, don't be angry with yourself. Again, don't be mad, angry, or harsh to yourself, and only play at your speed or a tiny bit above. Take your time, play the way you enjoy it. It's really a very important thing. Now you also should do another choice. Do the chaos recipe, and keep in mind that you want to do the chaos recipe, or are you going to sell rares? And if you sell rares, something I would also recommend is that you use a dump tab. And a dump tab in the sense of, okay, I have this tab, it's set to public, and every item in this tab is priced at 10 chaos. Or every item in this tab is priced at 5 chaos. You can reduce it earlier. Or earlier I would say sell everything for 3 chaos, then a bit later for 5 and 10, maybe even increase it. You just want to get rid of a lot of items, and you want the currency, because early on currency has a lot of value. Because the market is still volatile, everybody is new, there aren't any stable prices. The traders don't have tons of chaos and exiles and can make a market price for it. So decide if you want to say, okay, I want to do a chaos recipe, then maybe use a chaos recipe tool or a dedicated dump tab for the chaos recipe. Keep in mind that you always pick up jewelry, belts, amulets, rings, and stash them in there. And even later when you're out of chaos recipe range, pick up still items to complete all the recipes inside that chaos recipe tab until it's completely empty and you have enough currency that you can afford to not do chaos recipe anymore. If you want to sell the rares, like I said, use the dump tab to sell items, and then before you head offline, do the chaos recipe, do the selling items, and invest in some currency or items that are going to steadily increase with the duration of the league. Some examples are mirror shards, mirrors, and skittering delirium orbs. Those 3 items so far have during a league consistently risen until they reached a very high point, and then they have a bit fluctuated around it or have increased further in terms of mirrors. You want to always have, at the end of the day, have either use the currency to buy items you need that are going to increase in price, or have bought items that you know will increase in price. So you have like invested your items in something that is definitely going to be a worthy investment. Now that does need a bit of knowledge. You might need to look at pure artiquary or artifact, or how that's called, how items were priced at league launch in the past leagues, if they dropped quickly, if they risen quickly, what were the prices at. Or you need to know which items are going to be in demand this league if there's a significant change, like with the Siege of the Atlas. And now all that is left is pretty much just after the launch. Now, I would not say after launch is after the week, but like maybe day 2, day 3. You've now experienced a bit of the league, you've now know maybe the meta is starting to shape. Plan what you're going to do next. Are you going to stick to your one build and going to push it to the utmost limits that it can do? Or are you going to make a secondary character? Maybe you made a bosser first and now you want to do a mapper. Just think a bit ahead, like in any stage really. Think ahead of what you're going to do. Think ahead how you're going to do it. Think ahead of what playstyle, what build style, what strategies you want to run. And then make the builds accordingly. And then even after you plan this, maybe already think about what you want to do after the strategy. Now you've played the league launch, you maybe said, okay, I'm going to farm bosses. You have killed the new bosses, and now you say, I have enough currency. What do I want to do next? Do I want to kill the bosses even faster? Or do I want to run maps now? Do I want to explore the new mapping mechanics with the Atlas Ascendancies? That is all your choice really, and you need to think about it not the moment you want to do it, but a bit earlier. So when you have to change, when it comes to the new thing, you already made your decision, you already maybe even prepared for it. Maybe you made want to make a secondary character, and you already have prepared the full list of gear. You have the six thing, you have the weapons, you have the helmet with enchantment, you have the boots, the gloves, and then you can instantly opt in and enjoy the new thing, while others who say, okay, I want to do this, okay, now I need to go to the market and prepare things. There's often a bit of downtime, a bit of moments where you're just taking a break, mental break or physical break, because you pushed a lot, and then, or you maybe need to sell items, and while you sell items, you could also buy items that you then can use for your secondary character. There's really a lot of tiny things that you can save time with, save currency with, and save just also mental capacity, I guess, with. Take care of yourself, plan ahead, and yeah, actually these 2 points, just take care of yourself and plan ahead, is the two important takes for how to get your league launch to the next level. For everybody who listened till now, thanks a lot, have a wonderful day, and see you in the next video.